Hello, welcome to Block 4, Place Value, Ordering Integers and Decimals, Lesson 12. I'll share my screen. So, in your previous lesson, you learned how to position numbers on a number line, not just any number, decimals. In today's lesson, you're going to learn to compare and order any number up to 1 billion. But before we start, do me a favor. If you are enjoying these videos, like them, click to subscribe, and click the notification bell so that when new videos come up, you will be notified. And tell others, share the videos so that you can help us achieve our goal of educating the global population of children. Thank you. Before we start, I would like you to do the retrieval practice questions. You can pause the video in 4 minutes and get these questions done. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through these questions, here are the answers. For question 1, you were asked, what does the 8 represent in the numbers? So for the first one, it is 800,000. The next one, it is 800. The next one is 0.08, which is 8 hundredths. And the next one is 0.8, which is 8 tenths. Next question, you were asked to define ascending. Ascending means to go from low to high, from least to greatest, or increasing in size. Next, you were asked to write 4 tenths in figures. 4 tenths should be 0.4. Okay, let's do some new learning. Here, we're told to write either the less than or the greater than sign to compare the numbers. I want you to go take a look at one of our lessons we did some time ago where we used these symbols to compare integers, and we called them the comparison operators, okay, or the relational operators. So for the first example, remember, we've done this before. To compare the numbers, you always start to look at the greatest or the highest place value position of the numbers. So if we do that now, we'll see that there is nothing in the hundreds. We can now move on to the tens. We can see that we have 8 counters here. Okay, we have 8 counters here, whereas we have 4 counters there. So clearly this number is greater than that, or this number is less than that. So we put that symbol there. We don't need to compare the ones because it's sufficient to compare the highest place value digit to check which number is actually greater than another number if you're comparing two numbers. Here, we're comparing now decimals because you can see tenths, okay? So when we look at the tenths column, okay, here you can see 49 is less than 81. So we can also write in figures. Okay, we move on to this. We can see that we have, looking at the ones, there is no number there. So we can move on to the next highest place value, which is tenths. Now we can see that we don't have to compare the hundreds. It's sufficient to compare using the highest place value. So we can see that this is 0.81 when we write it in figures, and that's 0.49. So this is clearly greater than that, or this number is less than this number. Okay, we have been comparing using just the place value chart. Now, what we're going to do is we'll compare using the place value chart and also look at the actual figures. Now, if we look at this number, we'll see that there are no ones. So this is a decimal number. There are no ones. So clearly, we don't need to compare that, those digits. Now, when we look at the tens, we can clearly see that they have the same counters, so the same value of 5. So it means we now need to shift to the next place value column, which is the hundreds. And you can see that this has 7 counters compared to this, which has 2 counters. Or you can just compare the numbers just looking at the digits, and you can see that 0.57 is greater than 0.52. Okay, I want you to pause the video and have a quick practice. Put these symbols in their correct position. Okay, assuming you've paused the video, here are the answers. Okay, so you can clearly see that these are the correct answers. So mark your work, celebrate your success. Hooray, well done. Okay, now looking at these, I want to discuss this. You can see that this has 3 digits, but this has 2 digits. So we can start by looking at the correct position place value digits. So we see that this is 5, while this is 2. So this is clearly greater than that number. Here we can see that the 8 are the same, but here we have 7, there we have 0. So comparing the correct place value digits is important. So we see that 0.87 is greater than 0.807. Okay, pause the video and answer questions 1 and 2. You can pause the video and answer question 1 in 2 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through question 1, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So who has made the greatest number is clearly Rosie. Why? You can just look at the ones column, place value. We have 5 here, whereas we have 3. Pause the video and answer question 2 in 3 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through question 2, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. Here you simply ask to put the correct comparison operator, okay, or the greater than or less than sign in the correct position. So we can see here that this is the tens, the ones, and the tenth. So that they're the same, but when you compare these, you see that has more counters compared to this, the ones column. So this number is clearly greater than this number. Here, we see that there are no values in the ones column. We can compare the tenths. There is no value here. So this is clearly greater than that number. And then here, you can simply just look at the digits, okay, to compare them. Okay, let's do some new learning. Here, this gentleman said that 0.103 is equal to 0.13 because when he made the number using the place value chart and counters, he used the same counters. Do you think he's right? What's wrong or what's right? Well, this is what he could have done, and this is what he could have done as well. You can see that there are clearly 4 counters. But, well, remember, we have to compare using the correct place value. So if we were to compare just looking at the digits, that is the 10th. That's the 10th. We have 1, so we don't need to think about that. This is the hundredths, and that's the hundredths. So for the hundredths, we have 3 counters, but here we have nothing. Okay? So we can clearly see that this number is greater than that number. So we use that less than sign. So 0.103 is less than 0.13. Okay, what if we have numbers and then we're asked to put the numbers either in descending or ascending order? Is there a really quick way we can do this? Yes. The way we do it is we can line the numbers. So remember, descending means from the greatest number to the lowest number, from the highest number to the lowest number, or from the greatest number to the least number. So we can put the number by lining up the decimal points. So we write the numbers, we line the decimal points, and then we can start to look at the digits, the place value of the digits. We clearly see that looking at the ones column, 5.2 has to be the greatest number here, or the highest number. The next number we can look at is the twos. Now we can see that the twos have the same value. So we then look at the tenths. So looking at the tenths, we can see that 2.5 has to be greater than 2.05. So we write that. And then while we do this, we can cross off the ones we have compared and we have taken. So we can cross that off. The next one has to be 2.05. Now, when we look at 0.25, just comparing the tenths, we can see that 0.52 has to be the next number. Okay, looking at the tenths, because here we have 0, so we don't have to compare that. So now looking at the tenths, we move to the next highest place value column, and that is the tenths. So 0.52 is the number, and the last number should be 0.25. Okay, so what have we learned so far? We have learned that if you have a list of numbers, decimal numbers to order, or it's set of numbers to order, especially decimal numbers, it's important that you line them up vertically. So you write the numbers so that the decimal points line up vertically, and then you can start to look at the place value of each of the digits, looking at each column, until you identify which number is actually the greatest or which number is the least. You can pause the video and answer questions 3 and 4. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through question 3 and 4, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. For question 3, the answer is no. 5.3 is not less than 5.18. Okay, so you need to compare the place value. So the 5s are the same, but looking at the tenths, you clearly see that we're going to have 3 counters compared to 1 counter in the tenths place value column. And here for question 4, you were asked, write these numbers on the place value chart. Okay, so on the place value chart, by now you should know how to use the place value chart and how to position the numbers. And then if we are to write the numbers in ascending order, ascending means from the lowest to the highest. Okay, increasing, ascending means increasing. So here are the numbers. Pause the video and answer question 5 in 4 minutes. It could take less than that. You could do it even in 2 minutes. Okay, assuming you've paused the video and you've worked hard, you've worked through question 5, here are the answers. So here, 5/10. So remember, a tenth is 0.1. So 5/10 will be 0.5. So they should be equal. So I'm just discussing some of the answers here. Okay. Then these ones, you can actually write the values out, the figures, and then add them to see what the actual number is before you compare them. And here is question 6. You've given the weights of 3 dogs are shown. You're told to write the weights in descending order. So pause the video and answer question 6. You can take about 3 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through question 6, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So if we write them in ascending order, in descending order, we'll start with the highest value. You can see that's the highest value. They all have 20s, so we can ignore those. And we can start looking at the tenths column. So that's the highest. Next one has to be this one. Okay, and last one, this one. And then the question B, for question B, you will ask 6B, a fourth dog is weighed. The dog in the second is the second heaviest of all the dogs. What could the weight of this dog be? Well, could be between this value. Yeah. Could be 20.72. Yeah, because it has to be greater than this. Here are questions 7 and 8. Pause the video and answer questions 7 and 8 in about, I would suggest about 2-3 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video, you've answered the questions, and you've compared the numbers properly, here are the answers. You can mark your work and celebrate your success. Okay, pause the video and answer questions 9 and 10. You can take about 3 or 4 minutes. Here you ask to write missing digits to make the statements correct. Here are the answers if you've paused the video and worked through them. Okay. So far, what we've learned in this lesson is to compare numbers using the comparison operators, knowing whether to use the greater than or the less than sign. Here are things you learned that you must remember. Number 1, you need to start comparing numbers by looking at the highest place value in your place value chart, or you can just look at the digit, because you're not going to have the time sometimes to always draw a place value chart. So you can always start looking at the highest place value, okay, which is usually from the left of the numbers, from the left to the right. So if starting from the left, you see that the numbers, the place value digits are the same, you move on to the next place value. And then that's how you find out which of the numbers are actually either the highest or the lowest. Also remember, ascending means increasing from lowest to the highest. Descending means decreasing from the highest to the lowest. Until next time, take care and bye-bye.